Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. I'm your host, John Fayocavitz. On this show, I interview successful men who have built impressive careers and businesses, founders, CEOs, senior leaders, and professionals who have operated at a high level for years. We talk about what actually made them successful. The goal is simple: to learn directly from men who have done it so we can apply those insights into our own careers, businesses, and lives and continue raising our own standard of performance. Today's show is sponsored by Prime Performance Method. The Prime Performance Method is designed specifically for high performing men who have achieved success in their careers, but feel like their body and energy have taken a hit along the way. I help busy professional men regain strength, lose weight, and feel younger within 8 weeks without long workouts, extreme dieting, or disrupting their demanding schedules. If you are a high performing man who wants to feel as strong and energized as you are successful, message me at John Fayocavitz on LinkedIn. On today's show, we have Steve Kidd, owner of Thriving Bestsellers. Thanks, Steve, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit what Thriving Bestsellers is.
Well, ultimately, we're a marketing company. We have been for going on 40 years now, the last 20 of which we've worked with authors, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that.
Wow, that's exciting. Is there a certain, what are you going to say, books that you use or you go through, or is it like help books? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, well, so, we've done over 5,000 books now. So you name a genre, we've definitely done it. Everywhere from children's books to adult fiction and everything in between. But about probably 70% of them are business related, business
Okay.
people who are using it to, market their business, because in the end, we're still really just a marketing company.
Okay. So are you have employees under you, or are you just a solo entrepreneur?
They all work as contractors. I have multiple people that work with me as contractors, but
Okay.
yeah.
Good, good, good. Well, next I'd like to start asking the question I like to ask all my guests. And the biggest lesson that you have learned so far that has helped you become successful in your business.
Oh my goodness. Probably more than anything, it's understanding and finding the system. It's really a system. It's really not magic. I know I feel kind of like the kid who told you that Santa Claus isn't real and he's not the one putting the
Yeah,
presents under the tree, but it really is. It's really about having the system in place, understanding how it works, and then employing it. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is really knowing the system you use versus just somebody tells you what to do and you do it and you don't really know what's going on makes all the difference.
right. And it seems, I mean, when you said magic, it pops under my head, my business. Okay. Everyone wants that magic pill.
Right.
Okay. All right. They think that all they could have to do is take this. Well, in a way now with the marketing that's coming out with Ozempic and all the things that are there, they are using that as a miracle drug. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but people don't understand the side effects and the long-term effects of taking drugs. Okay. So, but when you mentioned that magic, that thing, it popped right in my head. Okay. Yeah. My clients want that magic pill. They want the shiny object. You know what I mean?
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. So it goes hand in hand. So you built this successful business. And during my podcast, I've heard from a lot of other business owners that their businesses are thriving. Okay. But there's other areas of their lives that have suffered. Okay. Have you experienced this?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been a business owner my whole life, but my whole adult life. But I've also been through two divorces. My children are not necessarily my biggest fans. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of struggles in life. At one point, I'm down about 120 pounds now, but at one point I was over 460 pounds.
Wow.
Just from that constant, you're sitting at the desk working, and the next thing you know, it's 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and you haven't eaten, and then you eat. Not only is that the only time you eat, but then you totally eat wrong when you haven't eaten all day. So
Right.
that's been the new, learning how to be, how to actually what healthy and even looks like.
So what would you say? What's an average work week? How many hours?
I do. And when I'm not working with authors, I'm writing books myself. I've got 41 of my own that I've written
Whoa.
so far. Um, so, I mean, I probably average more than 70 a week, 70 hours a week, but like I said, I'm single. All my kids are grown and married.
Right.
So it's a little different place than what I would recommend to most people. I don't
Well,
have to work that many hours. I
okay.
choose to.
Well, you're working 70 hours. Are you happy working those 70 hours? That's
Oh
important
yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, I
If
do
you
it on
enjoy doing
purpose.
that, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people have to work 70 hours and don't enjoy one thing.
Right.
Okay. So as long as you're happy in doing that, all right. Okay. My next question would be, do you think that the successful men today, okay, sacrifice too much early in their careers, like giving up a relationship, giving up something that they've given up for the business to succeed? You think the successful man early in their careers have done this?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, it froze on
Yeah,
my end.
yeah,
So,
no problem. Do you think that most successful men in their businesses, okay, sacrifice too much early in their career?
oh yeah, absolutely. Um, because we're trying to have it all at once, and there's just no way to really do that. And
Right.
we have to really figure out who am I really? What am I doing? And then, what's the right order to do it? Because if you try to, like I did, you're an 18-year-old and you start a company and you get married. And, I mean, the lady that I married already had a child. So I was insta parent. You try to
Wow.
do all of those simultaneously. You end up kind of failing at all of them. Then you spend a whole lot of years even sometimes defining yourself as a failure because it just feels like you're never doing anything right. I mean, I
Right.
often advise my kids, it's like, take those years when you're, 18 to 23, 25 years old and really pour into the career, the company, those kind of things that you want to do, to then both be mature enough to be able to have a good relationship, but also to have that stability so that you don't end up in those chaos years that
Right.
young married couples run into, and I know what it's like, you're
Yeah.
19, you're madly in love, but uh, you know, you can't really live on that love. Not
No,
really.
doesn't pay the bills, right?
No, not at all.
So you're working 70 hours. So tell me, there's got to be a secret somewhere of maintaining the balance then of all the areas in your life. I mean, you can't just have 70 hours of work and not have some kind of balance somewhere. How do you explain that? What's the steps you take there?
And that's been the biggest thing with my health journey is learning that. So I commit myself to starting my day off, especially with hydration. But then I go for a walk, do some exercise, do those kind of things. And I've intentionally moved my schedule to the point where every once in a while I'll take an international person that needs to meet early, but I really don't really schedule appointments until like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Um,
Okay.
to be able to have that time to focus on my own life, my own health, those kind of things.
Right.
And then some of those things, like you said, with the book writing and things like that. Right now, my older brother and I bought the house that we lived in, and we moved our mom in with us to take care of her. And so I've blocked off about 2 to 4 hours every evening that I just kind of spend with them. They're both, I mean, my mom's 87 and my brother is, you'd think he was 87 too, the way he lives his life these days. um, eh, you know, so I've intentionally set aside that time to spend time with them. I mean, it'd be real easy to just work right straight through that and
Right.
liking what you do. But, I mean, it really does have to do with that schedule. You literally just have to block it off and just say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that 6 o'clock appointment because, that's when, I'll be spending time with them kind of a situation.
Right. Is your job or is it stressful at all? I mean, is it something that you put some stress on yourself?
Absolutely. And most of the stress that comes comes from when I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing. Not that I can't do them, not that I'm not even really good at doing them, but that doesn't mean that they light me up. They're not really things that I enjoy doing. And when I take those on myself rather than having one of my contractors do that,
Right.
I end up just sitting there at my desk, just grumbling the whole time, and it's just like not a happy world around my office at that point.
So do you take steps to get rid of that? Do you take steps to get rid of stress?
The biggest one is, well, two, but the biggest one from that is, really discovering getting up and moving away from the desk.
Right.
Going out whenever the weather's nice enough. I mean, it's starting to get back to that level in Kansas.
Right.
When it's 10 degrees below zero, it's kind of hard to feel very motivated to want to go outside and go walking in the snow.
Absolutely.
Uh, but
Yeah.
during most of the year, it's really nice, and so I'll, just get up from the desk and go out and go for a walk and just,
Right.
kind of not do anything. I mean, technically I'm working on my health, but it doesn't even feel that way. It's just that intentional break. And when I feel myself really getting to that, where everything is making me grumpy. The phone rings and you're mad at the person for having called you. you know, that's when you
Uh,
just got to step away.
Now, this next question is something that people, when they first ask it, they get a little stumped and they have to think about it quite a bit. Okay. So
Mm.
I'm not putting you on the spot, but it's just something what's something most people misunderstand about you?
Oh gosh.
That's a
Yeah.
thinker, isn't it?
Yeah, that really is. So what do most people, um,
Misunderstand.
yeah,
You want me to give you an example with some people that
yeah.
they they thought that a person was irritable or something the outside persona is that they're irritable and they're not good to get along with, and that's what happens. That's what one person told me the other day.
Oh, interesting.
Like they seem angry.
Yeah. I hope I don't come off that way.
No,
I would feel really bad if that, if I mean, it's kind of part of why I was struggling with the answer is because there's kind of two different groups of people.
mhm.
The two people that I live with right now, um, because I'm the youngest and all that. I don't think they really see me as an adult. Not even now, not even with all the things that I've done.
Really.
I really, I don't know. I mean, I think they think I'm in there like playing video games all day long or something. And then they want to give me advice on things that, are just totally out of their wheelhouse. But so that's one. I would say that probably with uh with the other people, it's probably that I'm too available. That
There you go.
they think, um,
They can pick
anytime
up and call you or text
yeah,
you anytime.
yeah, and then just,
Yeah.
and because typically, the phone's sitting right here, you just grab it and you just, answer it.
Yep.
I probably feed into that, but I mean, there are actually things on both of those cases. I guess it boils down to I am actually busy doing things. I'm not actually just sitting around.
That's great. All right. So when do you feel, now that we did this and we talked a little bit about stress, when do you feel the most at peace?
Well, I mean, absolutely, definitely when I'm in praise and worship with God. I mean,
Awesome.
I absolutely set aside time, every day, multiple times usually. And it's not uncommon, even when I'm in the middle of doing a project, that I'll be sitting there singing a song and sometimes I just stop and I just go into that space because that is ultimately always where the peace is going to come from.
Yeah, I start my day every day with that prayer and meditation
Yeah.
every day. Starts my day. Okay.
Yes.
So we're on the same wavelength there. So that's great. So what is, I know we might maybe repeat this a little bit, but what's been stretching you lately? Okay. Like what's been stretching? Is it the job itself that's stretching you a lot, or is there relationship? Is it health? What's been stretching your mind the most right now?
There have been some changes in the market that make the sales cycle longer, and money isn't necessarily flowing. I'm not sure that's the right word, but that kind of concept like it has in times past. Um, and really at the end of the day, the thing I've been learning the most lately is that money is a mindset.
Mhm.
Long before the dollars show up in your bank account, you have to already be there, and that isn't because I spent a lot of years in sales. That isn't the, used car salesperson where they're just hammering the person because, this is the person that's going to pay their rent. I'm not meaning that kind of thing, but just living in that comfort of, you know, what what we experience today is really a reflection of what we did before. And when we are giving into, you talked about the stresses, when we're giving
Mhm.
into that stress of this bill's due, that thing, what we're actually really building is even more stress tomorrow, next
Yep.
week, in the next few months. Whereas and I'm still learning this, so I'm not preaching, I'm more, like
Right.
sharing what I'm going through.
No, that's great. That's what this
Yeah.
podcasts are for, is to share
Yeah.
insights.
It's when we begin to see it is already done and then live from that standpoint of, you know, yes, this bill is already going to be taken care of. The money that I need to make and the next goals and those kind of things. And we live on the other end of that, then we're building that versus,
Right.
when we live in the stress and the fear of that, what we're really building is the life of more stress and fear of that same thing.
Right. I totally agree with that. Totally agree. Well, thanks, Steve. I mean, those answers are very, very insightful. Okay. I know that's going to help our audience quite a bit. So I appreciate the great answers, and we'll and end that here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an outro here, and I'm going to thank you for joining us on the High Performance Man podcast. As a reminder, this show is brought to you by the Prime Performance Method, where I help performing men rebuild their strength, energy, and confidence without sacrificing their careers. If you're ready to feel strong as your body, as you are successful in your business, message me at John Fayocavitz on LinkedIn. Until next episode, perform strong in all your areas of your life.